Good morning.
Good morning.
Yay! So today we are beginning a talk series based on one of my favorite books, Eric Butterworth's classic, Spiritual Economics. And I have to say, it's definitely, I'm very excited about talking about this because it's a book that had a huge impact in my life and in my husband's life. So we're really going to explore deeply in the next few weeks about that. And, you hear a lot about economics these days. I don't know, somebody just won the Nobel Prize for economics. Deaton or something like that was his name. So we're hearing about economics. But I guarantee you, spiritual economics is definitely a different way of looking at it. The first thing is that, oh, good, and Chris has got sorry, honey, I thought they were still in my car, but apparently they were in the office. Thanks for going out and looking for me anyway. Here it is. I just wanted to hold it up. This is Spiritual Economics. And I actually have a few copies of this if you're interested in getting it and reading it today. So he begins the book with a definition of prosperity as spiritual well-being. And that's the whole experience of well-being, which includes physical well-being and abiding peace and satisfying relationships and fulfillment and wholeness and financial abundance. All of those. In fact, he says that prosperity is more of a mindset, more of a consciousness than it is an experience of abundance of things. He says prosperity is a way of living and thinking and not just money and things. And poverty is a way of living and thinking and not just a lack of money and things. So over the course of the next few weeks, we are going to cultivate a consciousness of prosperity so that we can experience an abundance of good in all areas. Ready? Ready to get on board? Yeah. Good, because we're going to dive in. We're diving right in today. Okay, so we talk a lot here about divine substance. And I want to kind of break that term down so that we all understand what we're talking about. Divine substance is really the invisible essence that supports all life, that gives rise to all life. Like astrophysicists talk about dark matter as being the force that gives rise to all galaxies and everything in those galaxies. And atomic scientists, or quantum scientists, tell us that matter is mostly empty space. There's more empty space than there is solid. In fact, all matter is 99.9999% empty space. But that empty space is not really empty. It's actually full of everything. It's infinite potential, kind of like a stem cell, becomes whatever it needs to be. Divine substance is that life essence, that infinite potential. It's an interesting way to think about it. And coming from a spiritual perspective, rather than a scientific perspective, we look at this empty space. We see this empty space as infinite, invisible substance. Infinite, invisible substance, or God energy. And it includes all of the essence that God is, which is limitless love, infinite peace, abundance of all good, all sufficiency, wholeness, divine wisdom, intelligence, creativity, all of that. It's all included. Substance is inherently abundant good. It's inherently abundant good, and it's all around us, and it's within us. Breathe that in for a moment. We can just breathe that in. Emily Cady says that God is not a dispenser of divine substance. That God is indeed the allness of ever-present good in which we live, move, and have our being. Allness of ever-present good in which we live, move, and have our being. And we can maybe think of it in terms of like a fish in the ocean. The fish never lack for water. You know, it's all around them. They're living, swimming, and having their being in water. You know, the same, it's similar for us. Divine substance is our milieu. We are living and breathing and moving and having our being in limitless abundance, limitless prosperity all the time. There's no lack of it anywhere, ever. And so to continue in that sort of fish analogy, you know, the big fish are not hogging all the water. The little fish are not looking at the big fish and saying, hey, bud, save some for me. You know, I'm not going to have any over here. No, of course not. You know, and in the same way, individuals who are really rich are not taking all the resources. You know, that's viewing substance as limited. And I know it's a very popular view, but the truth is that substance is infinite, limitless. No one can take our good. We are all swimming in a sea of limitless prosperity. Now, that doesn't mean that they're always being ethical or whether they're happy or not. You know, that's another discussion. But we are all swimming in that same ocean of limitless good. So, and we can see that this abundant substance, we can see examples of the abundant substance all around us, right? Particularly in North Carolina. How wonderful, what an example of abundance of millions of trees and gazillion leaves on all of those trees. And the millions of acorns that are now landing, we're stepping on. But the little tops of the acorns because the squirrels have been at them. Hundreds and millions of those things everywhere. And if you think about how many gallons of water there might be in all the bodies of water on the planet, it's truly mind-boggling. You know? But you know what's even more mind-boggling? Is that what we can see, the actual visible form, is only a small, it's like the tip of the iceberg. It's a very small percentage of what's even there because behind all that is the infinite, invisible, limitless substance. Again, all around us, within us, all the time. We're breathing it in all the time. Yeah. So, now you might be saying, well, now, Victoria, I kind of get it. I see the limitless abundance. I'm kind of feeling like I'm swimming in that ocean of abundance right now. But when I get home, the same amount is going to be in my account. And the same amount is going to be on my paycheck. Right? Kind of a valid point. How does feeling abundant translate into the actual experience of all sufficiency? How does that translate? Well, one way to think about it is that whatever is in our bank account, whatever is in our wallet, whatever is in our lives, is the result of yesterday's beliefs, yesterday's thinking, and yesterday's behaving that may not have been in alignment with the divine laws of the universe. It's like yesterday's newspaper. Seeing your bank statement is like yesterday's newspaper. Then what's in our bank accounts tomorrow, or in our wallets tomorrow, or in our lives tomorrow, is dependent upon what we're thinking, what we're believing, and how we are behaving, whether in alignment or not, with those divine principles. So our ability to completely transform our financial condition or anything in our lives is within us. It's all within us, and it's happening right now. You're creating it right now, right this moment. We're doing it all the time. We might as well do it consciously. We might as well get expansive, and really feel that. Really feel that energy. And Butterworth gives us a really good way to get there. A good way to do this by reinterpreting Jesus' statement in John 16:33. In the world you have tribulation, but I have overcome the world. Now most people interpret that as Jesus saying he was the one and only who had access to heaven while he was on earth, and which gave him special powers to rise above the world of tribulation. But what Butterworth tells us is that what he was really saying is that we live in two dimensions. We live in two realms concurrently, not in succession. In other words, not the life on earth, the life of trial and tribulation on earth, but when we die, we go to heaven, and all is well. No, concurrently. We're living in it concurrently. So yes, right now we are living in a world of duality. Health and sickness, joy and sadness, abundance and lack. Yes, we're living there. But at the same time, we are living in the realm of the absolute. That there is within us this realm of the non-dual, that realm of the absolute. And when Jesus said, I have overcome the world, what he meant was he developed this ability to keep centered in this inner realm of wholeness. To stay centered in that inner realm of wholeness where that absolute realm is. And he told us that we could do the same. Wow. Yay. So, how do we do that? How do we overcome, that world? How do we, the world of duality? How do we break out of that, being a victim of tribulation? Well, we too can develop this ability to center in our wholeness, to center in that inner realm of wholeness. And consistently, if we do it on a consistent basis, to enter that inner realm of wholeness, to identify with our wholeness. We do that enough, we are rising above the world of effects. This is a place where we're swimming in that sea of abundance. And then secondly, we learn in order to stay there, because I know we all have flashes every now and then, but to stay there, we learn to work with the spiritual laws of prosperity, spiritual laws of the universe. So rather than wishing or hoping or praying for things to change, to be different, for healing or for prosperity, if we can center in that place, create that consistent base of centering in that inner wholeness, that inner realm of the absolute, in the face of appearance of its opposite. Right there in the face of the appearance of its opposite. If we can open to that presence and open to that reality and breathe into that reality, that's how we do it. That's how we rise above. So for example, say I'm feeling ill, and it feels very real to me. I'm feeling, it feels very real. I'm feeling it's hurting. If in that moment I can open to the presence, I can open to that inner realm of wholeness, open to that presence of peace, that presence of wholeness, to that presence of spirit. Right in all of that space in between the subatomic particles, all of that space, that's where God is. right? That's where healing is. That's where wholeness is. That's where the presence is. That's life essence. That's the majority of my physical body. If I can be in that place and vibrate to that place and breathe into that place, and I practice. This is a practice. So if I experience this enough, if I practice this enough and align myself with the spiritual laws of the universe, I will overcome duality and experience what we would call healing. And in the same way, if I'm experiencing lack of any kind, financial limitation, right where that lack is, right where that it feels so real to me, if I can open to that realm of the absolute, to that realm of wholeness, and know that right where that is, right where that feels so real, that the presence of abundant spirit is, the presence of infinite substance is right there, fully present, fully active in that experience. If I can know that and practice that, I'll overcome duality. And I'll experience what may look like a raise or a promotion or some sort of windfall, some sort of influx of abundance in my life. In all areas, we can work with this. And we'll work with this more in the next weeks, in the weeks to come. We'll continue to work on this because it's really a transformational concept when we get it and when we feel it in ourselves. So right now I want to kind of touch on what Butterworth he keeps coming back to in his book. And it really is at the whole crux of this working with the spiritual laws of prosperity. And that is about developing a consciousness of a giver. Developing the consciousness of a giver, he says. And he says that there are really kind of two kinds of people in the world. The WIIFMs, or the what's in it for me folks. And the WCIGs. What can I give? The what can I give folks. Now, I think most of us are kind of in between those two things. But, he sees this, as basically those who are kind of, the what's in it for me folks are kind of always looking for what they can get, right? And what they want, what they really, really want, is an assurance that their needs will be met, right? But ultimately, what they just never experience the peace and the security and the fulfillment that they're looking for. Why? Well, Butterworth tells us because we are created in the image and likeness of divine givingness. We're created in the image and likeness of divine givingness, that we all have a unique flow of the divine. And when we begin to participate in that energy of giving of ourselves, we open the floodgates and allow for that infinite abundance to pour through us and into our world and into our lives. That's how we work with that energy. We work with that law. And when we develop that consciousness, when we become more givers to life rather than takers from life, that we begin to discover that unique relationship that we have with the flow. We discover that our unique expression in the world, or some people would call it your divine purpose. And then that leads to more fulfilling work, right? Maybe an inspired idea that would lead to a successful business. Or just synchronicity, everything lining up so that you're in the right place at the right time. It also leads to the experience of total satisfying love, joy, and peace. Inner peace, total inner peace. So all of that works together. When we begin to feel that our unique expression of that flow of the divine, and allow that to continue to flow through our lives, we will receive. Give and you will receive. You know? And Butterworth tells us to look at our works, look at what we do for a living as an opportunity to give, to look at our relationships as an opportunity to give, to look to our communities as an opportunity to give, as our spiritual home as an opportunity to give. And he says, I love this passage. He says, one of the most important realizations that will ever come to you, if there's ever a lack of any kind, whether it's a need for employment or for money or guidance or even healing, something is blocking the flow. Something is blocking the flow. And the most effective remedy is to give. The most effective remedy is to give. It activates the flow. Right? We talk about that all the time. Activating the law of circulation, activating the flow. So in your programs, you will see both a letter from the ministers and a pledge card. And on the back, I'd like you to turn that card over. On the back of them, a series of affirmations on the back of that card. These are all from Spiritual Economics. Oh yeah, thank you. It looks like this. These are all from Spiritual Economics, and Eric Butterworth recommends that we repeat these affirmations over as many times as we can during the day. And I'd like for us to just focus on that first one and maybe say that together. Does everybody have one? Okay. All right, let's say this together. Ready? I am a child of the universe, richly endowed with the fullness of all good. Now turn to a neighbor and say, you are. Ready? Everybody got someone? Ready? You are a child of the universe, richly endowed with the fullness of all good. Absolutely. Now let's say it together as we are. We are children. Ready? We are children of the universe, richly endowed with the fullness of all good. And so it is. All right, so turn the pledge card over. Indeed, we are beginning our pledge drive today, like WUNC. We've got that pledge drive. Now, hey, unlike WUNC, we only do it once a year and not every 3 months or whatever it is that feels like they're doing it all the time. Doesn't it? But this is absolutely necessary for us to create a stable base, to create this stable base from which to continue to give service, to be here, to offer services and healing services and events and things that help you and everyone who enters this door to help us awaken to the divine presence within. So I ask you to read the letter and meditate on this, on the card. Really take it within, open your heart, coming from that consciousness of a giver, and really consider how you will help to participate in fueling what we're co-creating here. You know, we are co-creating this together and we're funding it together. It all happens together. We do it together. And then on November 1st, right, so that Sunday, November 1st, we are doing this ceremony, which hopefully it'll be the first of an annual event. And it's called the Community Circle Ceremony. And we will receive your cards in a sacred and loving manner and invite you to light a candle in our circle of candles that we'll have for the whole community. So that's November 1st. All right, so consider, really take that in consciousness, take it in prayer. And until then, abundant blessings. Abundant, abundant blessings. Namaste. Just in time.